China's foreign ministry said that Hamas and Fatah agreed to end their divisions and form an interim national unity government during negotiations in China that ended today. What's your take on this agreement?
So we have not yet reviewed the text of the so-called Beijing Declaration. Of course, we will do that. But as we have made clear for months, Hamas is a terrorist organization, something that we obviously made clear before October 7th. But when it comes to governance of Gaza at the end of the conflict, there can't be a role for a terrorist organization. Hamas has long been a terrorist organization. They have the blood of innocent civilians, both Israeli and Palestinian, on their hands. And so when you look at the post-conflict governance of Gaza, we do see, as we have made clear, we want to see the Palestinian Authority governing a unified Gaza and the West Bank, but no, we do not support a role for Hamas.
Blinken is set to speak with Wang Yi in Laos. Will he raise this, and what's your evaluation of China's role in these talks? Is it helpful in trying to reach a ceasefire deal?
When it comes to China's role, I think, as you know, the Secretary has talked to Wang Yi a number of times about playing a constructive role in Middle East diplomacy. Since the outbreak of the conflict, he called Wang Yi from Saudi Arabia on our very first trip to the Middle East just a week after October 7th, and he's spoke to him on the phone a number of times and spoke to him when we've had the occasion to travel to China and when Wang Yi has had the occasion to travel here. And what we have generally encouraged China to do is to use their influence with countries in the region, especially countries with whom they have a relationship with where we don't, to discourage any escalation in the conflict. So, for example, Iran, which is continues to finance and support proxies that have launched attacks on Israel, or in the case of the Houthis, have launched attacks on commercial shipping. We have used China to use its influence to try to bring those attacks to an end, and we'll continue to do that.
Ukrainian foreign minister is in Beijing today. Do you hold any hope in terms of any behavior change when it comes to China's supporting Russia in Ukraine?
So I'm not going to make any assessments about what might happen or try to gauge expectations of what might happen, but I do think it's important that China hear directly from Ukraine about the toll that Ukraine has suffered through Russia's war of aggression, which we know China is doing a great deal to fuel through their support for reconstituting Russia's defense industrial base. We have always made clear that it is important that every country in the world recognize that in this conflict, there's an aggressor and there's a victim. And we shouldn't treat the two parties as if they bear equal responsibility, or as if that this is some war that just magically popped out from nowhere without one side being responsible. And that when it comes to looking at how this war can end, it's important to remember those core principles. And so we have made that clear when we have engaged with China on the topic of the war in Ukraine. I know that other members of NATO and European countries have also made that clear to Russia, and we think it's important anytime that any country, and of course that includes China, hear directly from Ukraine.